right, let's hit the field.
All right.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
It's Tuesday, July 30th, and the Yankees were taking on the Phillies in Game 2 of a 3-game set. We'll recap the trade deadline and whether or not it was a disappointment for Yankees fans. Plus, Gerrit Cole was scratched, Will Warren made his Major League debut, and more sweet jazz. My recap, your reactions coming up next. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium,
New York City.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
All right. What a game, Aiden. What a game. I don't know what to do with my hands. That was nuts. That was a crazy roller coaster.
Thank God. May I say, thank God. What a win. What a
You're
win.
welcome. You're welcome. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Game 2 of the series between the Yankees and the Phillies is in the books. We will talk about the deadline in a minute. I know a lot of people want to talk about the deadline. Another blown save by Clay Holmes, who, at this point, I don't even want to DFA him. I don't even want to trade him. I want to see him taken to Guantanamo Bay. Like, I'm done with Clay Holmes. So here to break things down with me tonight is obviously Aiden Deschamps. Aiden, how was your day?
Pretty busy day, trade deadline day. Could have used a not stressful game going into the 12th inning, but, I'm feeling
We'll
good.
take it.
Had a coffee.
We'll take a win. We'll take a W. I got a coffee waiting for me because I got some late night work to do. But a lot of things to talk about tonight. Another 2-home run game by Jazz Chisholm. 4 home runs in his last 2 games. Big game-changing home run tonight. 5 RBIs. A week ago, the Yankees probably lose this game. Another multi-hit game from the revitalized Anthony Volpe. Judge with another multi-hit game. Unbelievable game-saving catch by Trent Grisham in extra innings. Anyway, we'll talk about all of that in a minute, but let's begin with Gerrit Cole. In case you guys missed it, Gerrit Cole was scratched with general body fatigue. Yeah, me too. It doesn't sound too serious, Aiden. What do you think?
I think he's all right. I think I saw something about him having the stomach flu as well. He's still coming back from injury and coming back in the dog days this summer, so he's probably feeling it. He's not going to hit the IL, probably.
I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but I want to throw a conspiracy theory at you. He is near the bottom of the league in barrel rate against, and the Phillies are near the top in barrel rate for. I feel like it was just one of those matchups where it would have been like, home run derby if he was in the game. Maybe it was a little case of, hey, let's just skip a start so we don't get bombed. What do you think?
I mean, I would agree with you, but if that was their strategy, was their, next solution putting in a rookie against the best offense in baseball? I don't know.
Fair. But Will Warren didn't do too bad. He got the start. Number 7 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline for the Yankees. 20 starts in AAA this year, 6.11 ERA. So not exactly inspiring numbers, but I thought he threw the ball pretty well. I thought he was going to have trouble with the Phillies. He gave up really one bad pitch. StatCast says what about Will Warren's first start in the major leagues?
Well, Warren has like a 5-pitch mix. He uses that 4-seam fastball a lot. Tonight he used it 40% of the time and got 1 whiff with 10 called strikes. His fastball topped out at 95 miles per hour and he averages like 93, 94 miles per hour on it. His sweeper is usually like his secondary pitch, his put away thing, the bread and butter to the fastball. But he struggled with it early on in the game. He hung that one to Austin Hayes right down the middle and paid for it. Used it about 25% of the time tonight. 3 whiffs, 3 called strikes. Used that sinker and changeup too. Used that sinker 19% of the time. Gave up a lot of hard contact with it. The changeup used it 15% of the time in 1 whiff, and he did throw 1 cutter tonight. So he's got 5 pitches: fastball, sweeper, sinker, changeup, cutter. That's a pretty good mix. I think that's what the Yankees like about him a lot. He didn't get a ton of whiffs tonight, but still 6 strikeouts on the night. I think 6 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings is pretty good, especially when you consider the guy, he found out he was starting the game this afternoon, probably. So, that's a pretty solid debut to have, especially against the best team in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes having to wait around a long time before you make that first major league start, I think can eat at your nerves. I remember when it was announced that Phil Hughes, he was the Yankees' number 1 prospect, was going to make his start. There was all this hype for 3 or 4 days, and then he went, I think, 4 1/3 against the Blue Jays. He kind of got lit up. and there was all this like letdown of emotions. But I guess when you're just kind of thrown into the fire, it's like sink or swim. You don't have as much time to think about it, right? But I thought he was fine. Let's talk about the trade deadline, because the general consensus that I've seen is that people are disappointment, or they're calling it a fail and saying Brian Cashman did nothing. And I'd like to remind them about the guy who's hit 2 home runs in consecutive games, Jazz Chisholm, after a 2 home run game last night, 2 more tonight. He was quick to remind these guys, hey, it's not like we did nothing. I think that he's looked great at third base. He made a couple of slick plays over there tonight. I don't know if there's any better position players that were traded. What do you think?
I don't think so either. Like, so far, Jazz Chisholm has very obviously been the best acquisition of the trade deadline. I mean, you can't ask for better from this guy. He's got a ton of swag, ton of grit. Guy has fun on the field. What's not to like about him so far?
I like him already.
2 main players that the Yankees picked up today were Mark Leiter Jr., sinker splitter specialist who has great swing and miss numbers. We saw him tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about that. They also got Enyel De Los Santos. I hope I'm saying that right. Enyel. I guess we'll find out soon, from the Padres. My friend called him De Los Meatballs. He's a Padres fan, giving up 11 home runs in 40 innings, so that's fun. They also traded Caleb Ferguson to the Astros, which I can only imagine is an act of sabotage, some kind of 4D chess there. They get back a minor league arm named Kelly Austin and some international bonus pool money. Aiden, what do the analytics say about Mark Leiter and Enyel De Los Santos?
Well, like what you mentioned before, Mark Leiter is a sinker splitter guy who he generates a lot of whiffs, a lot of soft contact, and a lot of ground balls. That's like the perfect profile in a relief pitcher, if you ask me. Don't let that 4.21 ERA fool you. He's gotten rather unlucky this year, and we can see that with his 2.61 expected ERA. And if you don't believe the expected stats and StatCast, there is fielding independent pitching, other known as FIP, that calculates how a pitcher prevents runs independent of his defense. He has a 2.11 FIP, which is considered elite. That's one of the best FIPs in baseball. He's 6th among relief pitchers in FIP. He has a 196 opponent batting average, 85th percentile in average exit velocity allowed, 98th percentile in both whiff and K rates, and 84th percentile in ground ball rate. The guy's got a below average walk rate, but he's a really good get for this Yankees bullpen. He's what they need. You still want that ground ball guy, but what they needed was swing and miss. That's what this team has lacked.
Yeah.
That's what Clay Holmes has been lacking a little bit. So I would expect to see him in. Yeah, I expect to see Leiter in high leverage spots. You saw him in a high leverage spot 5 minutes
good
after he got off the plane.
He's great.
I mean, his splitter is very effective, has a 63% whiff rate on it, and he used that sinker and curveball to generate ground balls. The guy profile as well. He's going to be really good.
So what about De Los Santos? We didn't see him. I see that you noted he's got a 4.46 ERA. What do you think of the home run balls?
I mean, yeah. So De Los Santos, he is really just a swing and miss guy. He's a guy that goes up there and just tries to miss bats, and you know, other than that, he hasn't been great. His fastball is a bit of a problem. It gets shelled, but that 32.5% whiff rate and that 28.2% K rate are pretty encouraging. This is a project pitcher for the Yankees. I think they probably see something that they can tap into, and it is worth noting that he did have 2 solid seasons the past 2 years. So I think the Yankees are really trying to tap into something there with him.
Yeah, I'm looking at your notes. You think he's a project arm. It seems like the Yankees do bring in these guys like Michael Tonkin, who we saw tonight, Luke Weaver, who we saw tonight, and maybe make them focus on throwing one of their better pitches or 2 of their better pitches, and sometimes cast aside some of the garbage. And let's just hope that he's one of these guys who's given up home runs on maybe like hanging sliders or something, and they're like, well, let's not throw that pitch, you know, or let's not throw it to certain hitters, right? So, you know, I'm gonna choose to trust the Yankees on this because they've at least provided a track record of having some success with relief pitchers. I'm not gonna say that I'm not disappointed they didn't do more and get like a lockdown closer, but there wasn't really a lot of those guys available. We did see one guy traded today that we had talked about. Let's talk about what could have been. There were really 2 main targets. It was Tanner Scott and there was Jack Flaherty. Scott ended up with the San Diego Padres, and Jack Flaherty ended up with the Dodgers. There was just a report 2 minutes ago. I didn't have time to put it in the notes, but Ken Rosenthal said that the Yankees backed out on Jack Flaherty at the last minute because he had some injury concerns. So apparently they reviewed his medicals, and there was something they didn't like, and so they backed out. But former Yankee prospect Trey Sweeney was part of the deal anyway, went back to the Tigers in that deal. Interesting that he's been traded away by both the Dodgers and the Yankees. It makes you wonder, like, if there's something that these teams see that's wrong with him. You know, that's interesting. So break down the prospects going back in these deals and, you know, what it would have basically, what it would have cost the Yankees in, analogous ways,
Right. Yeah. So in the Tanner Scott deal, I think Brett Ho-Ring also went there. I might be botching his name.
Ho-Ring.
So in that deal, the Marlins got Robbie Snelling. He's the Padres' number 2 prospect, 44th in the MLB. He's a left-handed starting pitcher. He's going to be very, very good. Adam Mazur, their 4th prospect. Graham Pauley, their 5th prospect. And Jay Bashirs, their 24th prospect. So that's a haul of prospects that the Marlins got in return. The Yankees would have had to give up a haul like that. I'd imagine they probably would have just gone for Tanner Scott instead of, the second pitcher too. But we're looking like at giving up Spencer Jones there along with Chase Hampton and maybe one other prospect like Yorbit Vivas or Will Warren. That's a big haul. And while the Yankees could have offered those prospects, I'm not sure that would have gotten the deal done because, it's hard to compare prospects between organizations and what would have gotten what deal done. But I'd imagine the Marlins would have stuck with that deal from the Padres because the Padres have a better system. And then if you look at the Flaherty return too, Theron Lirzano, LA's 8th best prospect, and Trey Sweeney, of course, the Dodgers' 22nd prospect, that would have been something like Roderick Arias and Ben Rice, I think. But I still think that's probably a better package just because those 2 players are more MLB ready and LA always has a good system. But, like you just said, Flaherty had an issue with the medicals. I'm glad the Yankees did their diligence there. You kind of want them to take a risk, but you don't know. They took that risk with Frankie Montas 2 years ago, and we saw how that went.
And Efros, Efros got hurt right away. He was actually leading the league in innings pitched by relievers that year. And I remember thinking, well, he has a side armor, so maybe it won't affect him that much. But then he went down with a Tommy John. He's had multiple surgeries, and I've kind of heard that he's maybe not impressing the Yankees too much. Like maybe he's lost something. That's why they optioned him to AAA instead of putting him back in the bullpen. I thought maybe the Yankees would have traded him today, possibly, for some teams that were looking for an arm, but that didn't work out. All right, the channel is filling up. The chat is filling up, so let's get to the recap here.
All right, let's go. Let's get it going.
Wild game. Over 1,500 in the chat. Ignore that 106. It takes a second to update when you switch screens. But Verdugo led off the game with a double. He came around to score on a fielder's choice by Jazz Chisholm, who has not grounded into a double play this year because he is very, very fast. Verdugo is definitely showing signs of coming out of his funk. That was the first of many RBIs in the game for Jazz Chisholm. Gleyber Torres struck out with 2 runners on base to end the inning. Aiden, I'm kind of surprised that Gleyber Torres survived the trade deadline. He had a bad game, too.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that he survived it, too. I mean, I kind of thought as soon as they traded for Jazz Chisholm, that was kind of a death sentence for Torres' tenure with the Yankees. But, yeah, tough game for him tonight. He had some, very good moments. He had that error in the 9th, but then he also saved the game in the same inning. So he did also drive in a run. So it's really hard with him. Gleyber is always back and forth. You love him sometimes, but other times it's like, God, man, what are you doing?
Right. So nice play by Jazz Chisholm to throw out Trey Turner on a slow roller in the bottom of the first. He looks damn good over there. I mean, his arm is good. He's got quick twitch muscles. You know what I mean? He's like one of those. He reminds me a little bit of Alfonso Soriano in that way. You know how he was all skinny, but he just had this crazy power? Because he's got like quick twitch response and he's got great bat speed. He was swinging Aaron Judge's bat, for Christ's sake. Aaron Judge, if you guys don't know, is a large human being. And you got Jazz Chisholm, whose arms are literally like a fifth of the size of Aaron Judge's, swinging his bat. But Will Warren's first strikeout was of former future Yankee legend, if not for Brian Cashman, Mr. Bryce Harper. That's a mouthful, but I always thought he was going to be a Yankee. He said he wanted to be a Yankee. I'll never forgive him for that. Phillies jumped out 4-1 on a 3-run home run by the newest Philly, Austin Hayes, guy who killed the Yankees when he was with the Orioles, and it continued tonight with the Phillies. Really the only bad mistake that Will Warren made all night, and I thought the fact that he settled down and actually got better after that was a really positive sign for him. He struck out the side in the 5th inning. We saw his mom taking pictures and texting everybody. Some good sweepers, some good cutters. Retired 12 out of the last 14 he faced. Final line, 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Solid Major League debut. Top 6, here's where it gets fun. Jazz Chisholm with another home run, his 3rd in 2 games.
That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
You like the jazz music, Aiden?
I do. Jazz has always been my favorite genre of music. I swear to God.
So when I was in college, my roommate was into jazz. He played a ton of jazz. Before that, I don't know if I had ever even heard jazz or made an attempt. My dad listened to oldies. My mom listened to like Bob Seger. And I listened to a lot of like Michael Jackson and Elton John growing up. And then my brother got me into hip hop. And so I kind of have like a wide music taste. And I've always liked classical, but I never really listened to jazz. But my roommate kind of got me into jazz. So I love jazz concerts. Anyway, I love Jazz Chisholm too. 16th home run of the season. And he was not done. His follow through on home runs is awesome. It reminds me a little bit of 1995 Ruben Sierra. If you watch the division series home runs, he had a couple of home runs. I was at game 1 when he homered against Seattle, and then he went back-to-back with Mattingly in game 2. And he does the same thing where he turns his back almost completely to the pitcher for a second and then looks up to find the ball. I love it. I love it. It's so great. Top 7, Soto walked, Judge walked, and then Jazz Chisholm, are you kidding me? Play it again. Play it again, Sam. Wraps it around the right field foul pole. 17th home run of the year, 4th in 2 games. Aiden, he followed that up with a great play at third base. He's pretty good at baseball.
I mean, like I said before, what is there not to like about this guy so far? I mean, the way, he watched that home run go too was just awesome. I think he's already a contender for coolest Yankee maybe ever. And I do agree with the Ruben Sierra thing. I said that to my dad after the second home run, and he looked at me like I was crazy. I think it's a perfect comp.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Ruben was big. He's like different body types, but if you were to motion capture it, like with the little stick figures, how they do, it would look exactly like Ruben Sierra's home run. Really nice job by Tommy Kahnle tonight. Nice job by Luke Weaver, but unfortunately, the Yankees still employ Clay Holmes. I tweeted tonight that I don't want him DFA'd. I want him locked up. I want him arrested. This guy sucks. I am so tired of Clay Holmes.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, a lot of people will disagree with me. You might disagree with me, but I think Clay Holmes is a great pitcher. He's great at generating soft contact. He's great at generating ground balls. It's almost to a fault, though. He's almost too good at generating those soft ground balls, and it hurts him. I mean, with all these blown saves, it's the same thing every time. It's little weak ground balls that you're like, that's not a major league hit. That's a swinging bunt, and then you get some dumb errors by, I don't know, Glaber or Oswaldo or someone, Volpe too sometimes. It's really weird, but as good as a pitcher I think he is, I do agree. I don't think he should be in the closer role anymore.
Aiden, somebody says that your mustache kind of looks like Tonkin. I said the exact same thing to you. No lie. I said the exact same thing before we went live. That's an A+ comment.
I need a little bit more growth to get closer to Austin Wells. Just a little bit more.
A little bit more. We got to see Mark Leiter Jr. make his Yankees debut tonight. Nice job to pitch around the ghost runner. I think his stuff looks good. His splitter is filthy. Best splitter on the Yankees since Masahiro Tanaka, I think.
Yeah, that splitter is deadly. Like I said before, he's got like a 63% whiff rate on it, and then the bottom just drops out of his curveball too. It's really rare you see a 12-6 curveball that just drops like that. I'm really, really excited about him.
I want to amend my statement. I don't think that Clay Holmes sucks. I really don't. I'm just frustrated with Clay Holmes. I think he'd be a great 7th inning guy. Like when he first got to the Yankees, he was pitching those like 7th, 8th innings, like medium leverage spots. I thought he was great. You come in with nobody on base to start an inning, and you get a couple of ground balls. Like I don't like him in tight 1-run games because, like you said, any kind of little rinky-dink doink, duck snort can, be a base runner, and then that can lead to a run. But so Verdugo put the Yankees back on top in the 11th with a sac fly. Phillies tied it right back up in the bottom half off of Michael Tonkin, but Trent Grisham made an unbelievable game-saving catch. He's starting to grow on me a little bit with his defense, man. He's a damn good center fielder.
Yeah, I mean, he made multiple like game-saving catches today. It felt like he's always, taking the best route to the ball possible.
Yeah. Top 12, Yankees took the lead on a Gleyber Torres sac fly. Only positive thing he really did today. And the Yankees hang on to win, and Michael Tonkin closes it out, and that's 4 in a row for the Yankees.
We're going streaky! Yeah!
4 in a row.
Wow, winning.
Yankees win. What is it he says? Ball game over. Aiden, I've had a hell of a day, man. I'm tired. That game took a lot out of me. Like, that took a lot out of me, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we kept getting there in the green room saying, hey, maybe this is finally it. And it just took the life out of us. I really, really needed a stress-free game, but at least they got the win.
I think we know who the belt winner is. Would you like to do the honors, Mr. Mustachioed One?
I think it's pretty obvious. Jazz Chisholm, you got that belt. Get that belt.
First belt for Jazz. I probably would have given it to him last night if that second home run wasn't off a position player. Judge hit 2 home runs, but they were off of real pitchers. And I was like, Judge's got a million belts. Like, player of the game, everybody loves Judge. And Jazz hitting his first 2 as a Yankee, I kind of wanted to do it. But that second one, it was off of a damn, backup infielder. So I was like, we'll give it to Judgy. But tonight, he definitely earned it. That home run that he hit off of Strom was awesome. I lost my shit, dude. We're lucky to have a podcast tonight because I screamed so loud. That might have been the loudest scream I've had since Soto put one in the second deck earlier this year. You remember that 3-run home run? I don't remember who it was against.
I was there.
You were there. You were there.
Yeah,
where were you sitting?
Yeah. I was sitting in the left field grandstand, like the second upper deck. I did actually have bleacher seats, so I would in right field, so I would have been a little closer, but it was still awesome to see in person.
And you and I actually met in person for the first time. We had been working on Foul Territory together at the Yankee Stadium the night Judge hit 3 home runs. You remember that?
That's right. I was there with one of my sports analytics clubs at Fordham, and it just so happened to be there at the same time as you.
Yeah, that was wild. That was a crazy, crazy game. But, dude, I'm pretty tired. Let's get to some final thoughts here as we close out the trade deadline of 2024. Yankees on a win streak. 5 pretty fun baseball games in a row. One of them we lost, but 4 of them we've come out on top with a couple of, big offensive games in there. I feel like the offense is definitely waking up. I feel like Jazz Chisholm has added something ineffable to this team energy-wise. I think he looks great at third base. He's been smooth over there. Judge is definitely hot again. He had 3 hits tonight. He's up to 319. And you know what? It's time to start thinking Triple Crown again. It's time to start. I mean, we're 2 months out. If he goes on one of those streaks where he hits 400 for a month again, he's going to be hitting 350. And at that point, you're going to win the Triple Crown because he's going to have 55 home runs too.
Yeah, I mean, a Triple Crown race would be fun, but honestly, I'm just hoping he breaks that record, his own record, I should say. I mean, we really have to appreciate what we're watching here because we might never see this again. We really might not because we haven't seen this since Prime Barry Bonds.
Yeah. Dominguez 0 for 2 tonight in the minor leagues. He is now 2 for 11 since coming back. I'm looking forward to seeing him. When do you think he's going to be up? When you make a prediction?
I would hope next week, but you never really know with the Yankees. I think they're going to try and get as much out of Verdugo as they can. And he has been swinging a hot bat lately. So but if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I can't see them sending down Grisham. He's made, or getting rid of him. He's made too many great plays on defense. And you kept Verdugo at the deadline. So I think you're basically, you're stuck with Dominguez in AAA for all of August unless somebody gets hurt, which is definitely possible. I mean, Stanton could always get hurt at any time. If that happens, I would expect Dominguez to come up. But otherwise, I think we'll see him when the rosters expand in September. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it a night. Thanks to Aiden for joining us. Thanks for all the people who tuned in today. We had three podcasts today and 10,000 views on all of them and all that stuff. So it's been a wild day. And I tell you what, I need a stiff drink, and then I'm gonna hit the sack.
Well deserved.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time.
Ball game on.